Keep yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
Alright, and welcome to the GSMC Football Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network, and as always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. Well, I guess, as always, at least for this week, I will be leaving this show along with the others that I host. This is my last week here. I got Jeff back on the show with me today. Go ahead and say hello, Jeff.
Hello.
So yeah, Jeff will be on here. I'm not sure who's taking over for this one after, but I do know Jeff will be on the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast, right?
Yes, I will be. That's going to be on Friday.
Yeah, so make sure you guys check that one out. But like I said, this will be my last week, so we should make it a fun one. And, I mean...
It's not very fun with all the injuries that happened.
Yeah, at least it gives us something to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
You look at... We're going to overreact a bit. Well, I don't know if we are going to overreact. Jeff might have some Patriots or done takes. We'll see. We're going to spend the first segment talking about that game last night. Second segment, we're going to look at the games that took place, the other Sunday games that took place for that second segment. Third segment, we will be talking about previewing the Monday Night Football game. And then for the fourth segment, we'll probably get into all those injuries that happened on Sunday. So that's how today's show.
We also talk about the roughing the passer controversies that have been going on.
We can hit that.
Because I have a few things to say about that also.
Yeah, we'll hit that for the fourth segment, definitely.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so fourth segment, we'll get into roughing the passer penalties. I mean, I got some thoughts on it also. And then, of course, we had a couple of big injuries happening over on Sunday.
Well, I just wanted to bring up because I remember the Dolphins defensive tackle tore his ACL trying not to land on Derek Carr, and I think we will get into that later, but I think that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that. So for the first segment, let's get into that Sunday night game. Jeff, me and you thought that the Patriots were going to win this one fairly easily on Friday.
I think everyone did.
Yeah.
I don't think the Lions... Well, they lost to the 49ers last week, and they were 0-2. They weren't looking good at all.
Yeah.
Playing the Patriots, who are like the Patriots. So it was almost like an easy math problem.
At least so we thought. Looking at the score, I'll get into the stats right now. Detroit won this one 26-10. Stafford 27-36 throwing the ball, 262 yards, 2 touchdowns, one interception. They finally realized it's good to run the ball. 32 total rushes if you're not counting Matt Stafford's one little carry for 10 yards. Kerryon Johnson, 16 carries, 101 yards. First Lions running back in 4 years to break 100 yards. I think the last was Reggie Bush.
It was Reggie Bush.
Yeah, so you had that. LeGarrette Blount, 16 carries for 48 yards. You look at the receiving numbers. Marvin Jones, 4 receptions, 69 yards, and a touchdown. Golden Tate, 6 receptions, 69 yards, no touchdowns. And then you had Kenny Golladay with 6 receptions for 53 yards and a touchdown there. Looking at the Patriots, Tom Brady, probably the worst game he's had in a few years, I'd say. 14-26 throwing the ball, 133 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Sony Michel got 14 carries in this one, only ran for 50 yards, no touchdowns. James White did well running the ball, 4 carries for 37 yards there. Gronkowski, again, limited in the second straight week, only 4 receptions for 51 yards. Chris Hogan, 3 receptions, 31 yards. Rex Burkhead, 2 receptions, 26 yards. And I mean, no one else really notable besides James White, who has had 3 receptions for 14 yards, but did turn in a touchdown there. Now that we get done with the stats, Jeff, go ahead and give us your thoughts, I guess, on the game and what you think of the Patriots, what you think of the Lions, pretty much an overview of it.
Well, I'm going to say this to start. Having the Lions head coach used to be the defensive coordinator for the Patriots maybe gave them an advantage. Like, he would know their weaknesses because they didn't lose a lot of guys. He probably knows a lot of those guys' weaknesses and strengths, and he probably used that in practice. He probably had them practice harder than anyone else.
Yeah, I can see that.
In the whole season. And it was a motivation game for the Lions because they needed a motivation because they lost 2 straight to the Jets and 49ers, not very good teams. and going against a very talented, well, maybe not talented anymore. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell nowadays of how good the Patriots are now. I know they had a rough day. I know they also had a rough day last week. They just haven't looked the same since their Super Bowl appearance last year.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the Patriots. I mean, it was clear that they have no real talented receivers, okay? I get that we've always seen them plug in guys and they've always worked. But the Philip Dorsetts of the world, we know what they are. Philip Dorsett was a first-round pick for Indianapolis. Andrew Luck, they couldn't make it work, all right? So don't tell me that Philip Dorsett is going to be this miraculous player on the Patriots. I get that they've plugged guys in and they've gotten better. But there's a point where that's not going to work. Heading into the season, I thought that the Patriots, they had some problems as far as receivers, defense, and all that, but I thought that this was a little bit different. That's why I didn't pick them to go to the Super Bowl. Something just feels different. I'm not going to say that this team is done or anything like that, but like I said, it just does feel different. Do you think this is something that, it's the Patriots September, they'll pick it back up, or do you think it's maybe, like I said, a little bit different this time?
I agree with you. It does feel a little different, and I believe that we're looking at the end of the empire known as the New England Patriots. And what I think about that is when Patriots fans are going to have a losing season, and I think that's coming in the next couple of years, no one's going to feel sorry for them. They're going to have no sympathy from the rest of the league. And everything comes to an end. Every era, every dynasty comes to an end. And I think we're looking at the end of the Patriots dynasty.
And do you think the end comes this year, or is it going to be a gradual decline?
Gradual decline. Right. I won't say it will drop right now, but I will definitely say their losses will add up going from season to season. And then once Brady calls it quits, I think then there's going to be a huge drop. I
think when Brady calls it quits, Gronkowski calls it quits, and Belichick will be right behind him. I mean, Josh McDaniels, he could have took that job over in Indianapolis. I think he chose not to, given maybe Belichick told him, hey, you stick around here. I only got a few years left. Once I'm out of here, this is your ship to captain. Josh McDaniels will be coming into an impossible situation once he, I think, eventually does.
I think that's a worse situation than Indianapolis.
Yeah, because when you look at it, you're going to have to follow this dynasty that went on for 20 years.
Yeah, a head coach that's considered one of the greatest of all time. Yeah, good luck with that one.
Yeah, and I'd say maybe the greatest. I mean, I know people like Bill Walsh, Tom Landry, and all those guys, but I think Belichick has. I mean, his success
is... I think of Tom Landry's career. He didn't really do that much. He coached for 28, 26 years, granted. He only won 2 Super Bowls in that span. Yeah, but one thing I think that we've seen, and it's me being younger, I was born in 96 or whatever, I think we've come, desensitized to the fact that what the Patriots have done, literally no other team has done. You mentioned it on Friday, I think it was, or Thursday, the Cowboys dynasty. I mean, they won 2 Super Bowls back-to-back and then got another one a couple years after that. This Patriots team, has been just dominating for 20 years. They won 27 and 28, then lost to the Niners in the NFC title game the next year. And then in 30, they beat the Steelers. And that's the infamous, Neil O'Donnell throwing it right to Larry Brown twice. Interceptions. It wasn't even really a game after that. But you're right. They only won 3 Super Bowls in that, considered one of the greatest dynasties ever. 49ers won 4 Super Bowls in a 9-year span, or 8-year span, which is also impressive. But the Patriots did better. They won 5 Super Bowls around the same. I guess they won 4 Super Bowls in that 8-year span also.
Yeah, they've over this little year their run that they've had for the past 20. Well, it's not 20 years yet. I think we're on year 18 of their dominance. But they've won 5. They've been to 8.
I think the 8 appearances, no one can duplicate. No one can compare it to.
If not for David Tyree, Mario Manningham, and the Nick Foles basically having the game of his life, we could be saying this team is 8. I
guess you can also say if it wasn't for passing on the 1-yard line either, they could only have 4.
That is true. That one hurts a bit too because I did.
I thought it was great. I thought it just all the Seattle fans were so happy and they were almost kind of toxic of how cocky they were, the 12th man in the bandwagon and everything. And once that happened, I'm like, well, that's bittersweet. That's just I think it was happy for everyone else in the NFL that the Seattle lost. I didn't see them go back-to-back rather than Patriots winning another one.
See, I did have a wager on that game, man.
Oh, did you?
Them throwing the ball on the 1-yard line resulted in me drinking a bowl of salsa.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
That could have been a lot worse.
We don't have to get into the entire bet, but yeah, just because of the fact that they didn't run the ball.
I remember sitting down in my friend's place. I was in college at the time. And I'm like, well, I guess Seattle's had to win. And I'm looking down. I think I was eating like a chip or something. I look up, and then I see Malcolm Butler just dive and grab the ball. And I literally almost spit out my food. And everyone else was in the kitchen because they thought the game was over too. And I was like, what happened? What happened? I'm like, maybe the greatest thing in Super Bowl history just happened.
Yeah.
Like the most unexpected thing in Super Bowl history just happened. Because when was the last time someone got an interception on the 1-yard line in the Super Bowl? I don't think that's ever happened before.
Yeah, especially in that kind of manner. And I was watching the game with my friends. I had a pool table in my garage. I was standing there next to it. They were sitting down on the couch. And I'm talking all kinds of smack, trash talking them, thinking, I'm going to win this bet. All I got to do is give the ball to Marshawn, and we'll be fine. And then Russell Wilson throws the pick, and I just dropped to a knee, and I was done. But either way, looking at the Patriots, getting back to them. I mean, Brady in the game yesterday, his body language was absolutely terrible. The dude was tossing his helmet. I mean, after every drive, it seemed. And it's just, like I said, something seems off with this team. Like the Patriots yesterday, and we both watched the game. I mean, we could both tell, I think, that they just got bullied. I don't think it was one where Detroit had like this specific, like obviously they had a game plan they wanted to run and something like that, but it just seems like they told the Patriots, here's what we're going to do. We're going to double Gronk. We're going to run the ball, and you're not going to stop us.
Do you think Brady's age is catching up to him?
It's maybe
kind of going off topic, but I think it's age, honestly.
It could be because, I mean, we've seen Brady. Honestly, I think it's too early to say because the guy kind of has gotten better.
He's 41 now?
Huh?
41 now?
I think so, yeah.
You can only do so much after playing for that long. Your body is not as strong as it used to be. And I think it's slowly. It's like kind of Brett Favre. But slowly he gets hot, and then slowly, gradually, it'll decay. Yeah,
maybe because I mean the only reason I'm kind of hesitant as far as the call it age is because the fact that the guy won the MVP at 40 years old last year. Granted, if Wentz doesn't blow out his knee, he gets it. At least I think that's my opinion.
I think everyone thought that.
Yeah, just given the year.
He took the Eagles at 12-3 or 11-3.
I think they were like 12-1, something like that.
It was something and then Foles, incredible.
Yeah,
it was only in the last 2 games of the season Foles was playing in.
I think it might have been.
Wentz carried them to the 1 seed.
Yeah, I mean without Wentz, that team doesn't do as well. But yeah, as far as Brady and Father,
I would still say like 11-5 with Foles because that defense was pretty stellar.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of offensive weapons. But with Carson Wentz, that put him up to that 1 seed.
Yeah, that's true. And then you look at, the Patriots and Brady, like I said, I'm still kind of hesitant. I'm not going to... The Patriots, for some reason, are just different. The way this dynasty has lasted, the way Brady has gotten better as he's aged, like it could just be that, like 41 is that magic number for when Father Time comes to get him. But like I said, it's just kind of gotten... At least the last few years, he's gotten better each year, I'd say, as he's aged.
I don't think he's going to retire, though. I think that's in the next 2 years. I would say if they don't make the playoffs in these couple of runs in his last couple of years, he will retire once they don't make the playoffs. I think that's going to be his okay, it's time.
I think he'll make the playoffs this year. I'd say Brady's last year is the year they don't make the playoffs. And I'm not saying that's going to happen or anything like that, but if there was ever a time,
I think that'll be the way to convince himself that it's over.
Yeah, it could be. And did you see Gronk too? I mean, there's been reports coming out that the Patriots tried trading him to the Lions this summer,
and he said he would retire, which I don't blame him.
Yeah, and he pretty much confirmed it yesterday. Said Brady's his guy. So I mean, that's why I think
once Brady's gone, he's gone.
Yeah, that's why
I think that's what's happening. Or Gronk might leave before Brady does. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, Gronk seems like a smart guy to the point where I think I've read some articles on how he's managed his money well. He doesn't really spend his contract money.
He said he hasn't spent 1 cent of his contract. It's all been sponsorships.
Yeah, endorsements and all that. So I mean.
That's incredible.
As much as we like to make fun of the guy. Yeah, him and Marshawn Lynch.
He's an intelligent guy.
Yeah.
He went to Arizona. I mean, I should know. I went to Arizona also. But he said he never hasn't spent 1 cent of his contract. I don't think Marshawn has either.
Yeah, Marshawn Lynch is out here. I remember he was helping guys with their 401ks and all that. So, I mean.
It just shows that there's good sides of these cocky players. Which I have a lot of respect for those two, especially they're smart enough to know not to blow their money all the way. Because you see so many NFL players who are like, on welfare and stuff like that now because they took their starting contracts and just blew it all on money.
Yeah.
Just blew it all on expenses that are unnecessary.
So we'll see what ends up happening to the Patriots. I mean, I'm not riding them off. I'd still expect them to win the AFC East, probably win a game in the playoffs. So you riding them off, or are we just wait and see?
Not yet. I don't want to say they're done yet. It's too early to tell because we've seen this before.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's every September, basically.
Yeah, and then also in October, November, they're the best team in football again.
And I just say the only difference, I guess, this year is the fact that now they got a team who has jumped out to a hot start. Usually the Patriots are starting off slow, but so is Miami, New York, and Buffalo. Now you got Miami who's 3-0. We'll see if they can sustain that. But
the Buffalo...
we'll talk about that next segment.
Yeah, I'm flabbergasted. I was looking at that game like, are you kidding me?
And then a few thoughts on the Lions before we wrap up. I mean... It was a nice win.
It was a bunch of upsets this week. This was a week of upsets.
Yeah, it's true. And as far as
I think we missed all our picks except for like 3.
I think we can. We've split on some, and then like the Bills, the Lions.
Yeah, there were some great games though, but definitely the Lions was the perfect way to end that week because it was just like a huge upset, 26-10. It's not like they got off lucky. They handled them the whole game.
Yeah, and I'm not expecting the Lions to like have a great season or anything like that. I think the team
holding them 26-10, the Patriots, that gives you a lot of confidence going to next week.
Yeah, but I mean, we saw the Cowboys lose to the Panthers 18-6 week 1 and then beat the Giants, I mean, convincingly week 2 and Sunday night, and then they got beat up by the Seahawks.
This season's all upside down and like it's bizarro world.
So we'll see what ends up happening, but we'll wrap it up here. Next up, Jeff and I will be talking about the other games that took place on Sunday, so stay tuned and we will be right back.
The average sedan is built with a steel frame and equipped with 6 airbags. Remember this the next time you see someone walking. Drivers, be aware. Pedestrians don't have armor. A message from the California Office of Traffic Safety. The average SUV has 2 blind spots, weighs between 4,000 and 6,000 pounds, and takes about 6 seconds to stop. Remember this the next time you're on foot. Pay attention, people. Pedestrians don't have armor. A message from the California Office of Traffic Safety.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Football Podcast. Jeff and I spent that first segment talking about the Patriots and a bit about the Lions in that first segment, the Sunday night game that took place.
We didn't really give the Lions much to talk to.
I mean, if we're being real, the Lions aren't the story from that game. Like, it's nice that they won, but are you expecting the Lions to be a playoff team or anything like that?
No.
I mean...
Well, I wouldn't say no right now, but... I would definitely say like they're not winning their division.
Yeah.
I would say they might get a wild card because that wild card spot is not like guaranteed. I think a lot of teams are available for that NFC wild card and the AFC wild card.
Yeah, and if you look at it,
I guess it's called wild card for a reason.
Yeah, and you look at it. Brady, the Patriots are going to be the story, so that's just the way it goes. But either way, we move on. A bunch of games to cover from Sunday, besides the Sunday night game, obviously. So let's get into it. We had the Saints and Falcons going.
I was right on that one. That's the one I beat you on.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. They went to overtime. You had the Saints winning that one 43.
Great game.
Did you watch that one?
Calvin Ridley showed why he was a first-round pick. That's for sure. He was a beast that game. And I had him on one of my daily fantasy teams. He got me 43 points, so I was ecstatic. Been nice. Yeah, 3 touchdowns. Oh, it was great.
You look at it, Saints won that one in overtime, 43-37.
Probably the game of the week.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, we almost had a tie in this game. Got to around 2 minutes left in overtime, 3 minutes left before the Saints scored. Can you imagine if we would have had another tie?
I thought it was going to be tied for a little bit, but then the Saints were driving down the field, and then I was like, okay, Breeze got this.
And Breeze did surprise me a bit.
Kamara kind of actually carried that drive at the end.
Mm-hmm. He did play well.
But it's still like, I feel Breeze was still leading that team one way or another.
Yeah, and then looking at it, I mean, I'm still kind of on, I think, like, Father Time's come for Breeze. I know he played well yesterday, but...
well, he still, like, remember, he still had rotator cuff surgery.
Yeah.
So he's still, like, and I know that was a long time ago, granted, but, like, that he was already going to borrow time at that point. And he did pass Brett Favre for the most completions of all time. So, obviously, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't think we can have an argument on that.
No, yeah, he's first ballot.
And he's got a Super Bowl ring. So if this is his last season, it's going to be sad to see him go, see a player like that go, but it's a well-deserved retirement.
I think he's got one more year. I'm curious to see what happens with Teddy Bridgewater after the season.
He's on the Saints. I feel bad for him because he was looking really good with Minnesota, then tore his ACL like really badly at practice.
Yeah.
Then he got back and he was playing pretty decent. Then he goes to the Jets where he thinks he could get an opportunity. Then what? I think it was offseason or preseason he got traded, right?
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like
he just signed with them and got traded that next month.
It was an idiotic move for him to go to the Jets. I mean, for them, I mean,
think they were the only team that was offering. To be honest,
possibly, but for them to everyone knew they were taking a quarterback first.
Well,
round.
actually, since the 49ers are down to quarterback, who knows? They might trade for him too.
Yeah, we got to see though what the Saints' plan is for him too.
Absolutely.
I mean, Breeze is gone after next year for sure.
I'm just thinking like 49ers are probably looking at all backup quarterback options at the moment.
Yeah, so we'll see what ends up happening.
I don't think C.J. Beathard is going to be their guy.
Well, I mean, it's just like it's still early in the season, so I think maybe we'll start off with the 49ers here. All right, next game, 49ers lost to the Chiefs, 38-7.
They were making a comeback. They were down 35-7.
Yeah, I saw that second half. They were coming close. Mahomes had 314 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, another great game. Obviously,
bad secondary, so don't give him too much credit.
That's true, but a guy has been doing it for 3 games in a row.
Right, but it's how you finish. I'm going to say that every single time. It's how you finish.
Yeah, so we'll see what ends up happening. But either way, the story from this game is Jimmy G did tear his ACL. A bit idiotic from him. I get you want to get as many yards as you can, but you're the franchise quarterback. You're not Michael Vick. Get out of bounds.
It wasn't like he just stepped on it wrong. It was kind of like one of those things, like a 1 in a million type of thing. You step on it and it just caves in.
Yeah, because I saw it. It seemed like it happened on a cut. Because I think like as soon as it happened, like at first Twitter and all that, they thought it was like he got hurt because of the hit. But it seems like
had nothing to do with
the hit didn't have anything to do with it. Like, as soon as he cut,
the plants before, and you can't control that. Like, I don't think that's like a bad thing. Like even if he did try to go out of bounds, who knows? That plant still could have happened. Like,
well, I mean, I think the ACL tear came from. It looked like he was heading towards the line and then did his cut to get back into the field. I mean, if you're Jimmy G, you're not a running quarterback. You know that.
Still,
you're a quarterback. Franchise quarterback has to get out of bounds.
I wouldn't blame him for it.
I guess, but you're no.
It's a freak accident, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because how many times have we seen that and someone walks off, gets out fine?
That's true, but like I said, it's just the point of you're the quarterback. Even then, you shouldn't be going into the open field where you can get hit, right? Shouldn't you be getting out of bounds?
To be honest, how much they're protecting the quarterback, he could have got an easy flag for that.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess
that's maybe what he was thinking too. Maybe I can get a quick 50, like a quick penalty, get on the 1, which could have easily have happened. But I think he was thinking just fight for extra yards and give him credit for not backing down. But I think it was just a freak accident with his leg.
Yeah, that's true.
Unfortunately, he can come back next year. Sorry to interrupt, but he can come back next year and not have to change much of his game.
Yeah.
Because his arm's still good. His upper body's still good. He might not be able to move, which he doesn't really already move a lot, and he holds on the ball way too long. I think that was a huge thing that I saw, a big problem with him. Mm-hmm. And he just took too many sacks. But I think with this, learning this and going next season, and I think people are going to underestimate him going to next season. He might have a career year next year, who knows, but I'm hoping for good things for him.
Yeah, I mean, as far as it goes, I mean, I think this is like a year of wasted development, just given you can't really work on your skill when you're rehabbing your knee. Real quick, before we move on to the next game, your choice as to who you'd like to see come in for the 49ers? Is it Beathard? Yeah, Beathard, or do you want someone else?
I want something else, because you saw Beathard play last year. He played. I know it's still kind of the same team that he had last year, and it was playing pretty sloppy. And he's a 3rd-round pick. He's out of Iowa. He was picked to be a backup. Yeah. He wasn't made to be the guy. And I think he's going to be a good replacement for now, as they're looking for someone new. But I think like someone like Teddy Bridgewater could easily come in and help out the team a lot, or RG3 if they want to trade for him, which would be risky because of how injury prone he is. But there are a lot of good backups right now in the NFL that could easily take that spot for the 49ers.
Yeah, and there's a certain quarterback who did take him to the Super Bowl a few years ago, once upon a time.
Who?
Good old Colin Kaepernick. I'd like to see him back. I want to see Cap back in the league. I remember when he was playing. He was one of my favorite players.
With the 49ers. But again, it's a new system. It's a new ownership, or not ownership, but it's a new general manager, new coach. He could But I would be very surprised if he would just come in and get starting job. Because when's the last time he threw a pass? Has he been training?
I'm sure he's been training. I mean, these guys are always training just to be ready because you never know when that call's going to come. But
the Niners did bring in Tom Savage today for a workout, which I hope would not be the case because he's not a good quarterback in the slightest.
Maybe you bring in Savage to be the backup to Beathard, but we'll see what ends up happening.
Yeah, they actually do need a backup for their backup. So
yeah. So moving on, we had the Raiders and Dolphins. Raiders now 0-3. Dolphins now 3-0. Dolphins winning this one 28-20. Derek Carr, I mean, played all right. I think he threw for 345 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. One of those picks, I think, was on Amari Cooper. He kind of gave up on the route. The other was one where it was pretty much a go up and get it between Xavier Howard and Martavis Bryant and Xavier Howard.
I think John Gruden's regretting taking this job.
I think Gruden knew what he was going into.
I mean, 10 years, you don't expect the first year to be great. 10 years, $10 million. I mean,
Gruden going into this season, I think he knew, he was talking about it, he knew this team wasn't that great.
Was it 10 years, $10 million a year?
Yeah, it's $100 million total.
I'm sorry, for a coach that hasn't coached in a long time, that's a little ridiculous to me. But I understand why John Gruden got this, and now that he's 0-3, I think people are like, oh, I think he wants to go back to the booth, which I wouldn't blame him in situations of how bad the Raiders are playing. But I think this is the reason that it was a 10-year contract is this is going to be a long process.
Well, yeah, I mean, Gruden, like I said, starting out the season, he knew this team wasn't very good. He talked about it, was very open about it. And Gruden's brought in not to coach the Oakland Raiders. He's here to coach the Las Vegas Raiders. Gruden is a popular face and will sell tickets out there in Vegas. You looked at Miami. Tannehill threw for 289 yards, 3 touchdowns. You had Albert Wilson, their receiver, threw a pass, 52 yards and a touchdown. The go-ahead touchdown to Jakeem Grant. Run a little trick play there. Miami's been playing well. You got Xavier Howard, who I think is one of the more underrated corners in the league. I think he's 7 interceptions his last 8 games, and I think since week 13 of last year has 13 pass deflections, which leads the league. So we'll see. As far as Miami, I'm not going out and saying they're going to be winning the division. I mean, we still got to wait and see what happens with the Patriots, but Adam Gase and that team has gotten off to a solid start. Moving on from that game, you had the Bills with the upset.
We're definitely talking about this one.
Yeah, the upset of the weekend, I'd say, of week 3. They beat the Vikings 27-6. Josh Allen might be sneaky athletic. All right, I saw him take off with the ball once.
He did that dive into the end zone. He was like Superman a little bit.
And he jumped over one of the Vikings linebackers. That was Anthony
awesome.
Barr.
I forgot about that. That was so cool.
Yeah, he had 196 yards, 1 touchdown there. I mean, those are solid rookie numbers. You can tell that...
And against an elite defense.
Yeah.
With a team that's not elite in the slightest.
I'm going to ask the question just to get the conversation started. Are the Vikings a little overrated?
I wouldn't say right now.
Look at the... I'm just saying.
3 weeks in, they played terrible against the Bills, no question about it. But I think they maybe underestimated the Bills a little too much.
I'm just looking
which is understandable.
I'm looking at it from last year, too, in the playoffs, okay? They get into the playoffs. Let's not lie to ourselves, okay? Vikings fans included. They advanced to the NFC Championship on a fluke play.
Well, yeah, the safety for the Saints went for the hit stick way too early in Madden and kind of cost them the game right there. And if that doesn't happen, if he gets tackled, then it's maybe even let 3 seconds left and out of bounds. They couldn't. It was either a field goal that probably would have put it into overtime. I forget what the final score was, but that was a very lucky play. Yeah, and then Diggs got a 5-year contract because of that lucky play.
Yeah, and the Saints were clearly the better team there. Then you play the Eagles, you get blown out. Then you're moving on here. Like I said, I don't think they are, but I think there's a conversation that maybe you could have. Okay, losing a game like this, I mean, I know it's professional football teams and all. Is it just they overlooked them, or it's just a bad game?
I think the Bills were more motivated than anything not to be blown out, and they played their best football. Maybe their best football their whole season. Who knows? But it's every team gets that one game, except for the Browns last season, but we won't get into that.
I guess, but if you're a team that's quote-unquote a Super Bowl contender, you shouldn't be losing to the Bills 27-6. I mean,
this team did make the playoffs last year. Let's not forget. Well, by a wide things of magic happening.
Yeah.
For them. But they did make the playoffs, and with Allen, I really like Allen. Allen impressed me.
Yeah, I like Allen too.
Everyone's like, why didn't you take Rosen? He was the overall better quarterback. Allen had some accuracy issues going into the draft, but he kind of proved them right almost of taking him. And he played really well. Like, I didn't expect him to play that well. I thought he was going to be struggling. And then you look at Rosen this week, if going up a little more to the Arizona game, and he threw a costly pick at the end of that game. So
we'll move on
who was right and who was wrong, it's still to be determined.
We'll segue to that Cardinals-Bears game, too. Bears won that one 16-14. You mentioned Rosen coming in. We talked about on Friday, rookie quarterbacks coming into the 2 minute, like with 2 minutes left. You really don't have time to think. You mentioned the interception, but if you're the Cardinals head coach, Stevie Wilkes, how on earth are you going to send your rookie quarterback in with literally 2 minutes left in a close game against this Bears defense? How is the guy supposed to succeed there?
He had Sam Bradford, so I think he's justified. Sam Bradford played terrible. I don't care if they had 14 points going into that, but Sam Bradford's not a good quarterback.
That's true. I get that.
He entered the league as a Heisman Trophy winner, and then I think, honestly, that trophy is bad luck with most players. Like, I know a lot of players are in the Hall of Fame with that Heisman Trophy, but with quarterbacks, like, it comes as almost a curse. Like, if you're a running back and won the Heisman, you're destined for, like, Barry Sanders was a Heisman Trophy winner and became one of the greatest of all time. Tony Dorsett was a Heisman Trophy winner. And then you look at the quarterbacks who won the Heisman. Tim Tebow was a Heisman Trophy winner. I mean, let's look at that in particular.
Well, you don't got to be mechanically wise
he was just popular. That's why he won the Heisman.
Yeah,
that's
well,
at least.
I wouldn't say that. Tebow was one of the baddest people I ever watched in college football.
You know how good that Florida team was without him?
I mean, do you know how good Tebow was, though? I mean, Tebow was a monster.
He was running the ball like 3/4 of the time.
I think we can agree to disagree on this one. I mean, Tebow, he did win a playoff game in the NFL too.
Okay, he threw a slant to Demaryius Thomas, who ran it like 80 yards himself.
You got to get the ball.
That was all Demaryius Thomas.
You got to get the ball there, though.
People just got to get love for Demaryius Thomas. He ran that ball. He stiff-armed like 2 different players and scored.
Tebow's a winner, though. I mean, he's a winner.
Let's stop with this.
I'm just saying, he's not the most...
Skip Bayless, let's move on.
He is a winner. I mean, he's not the most mechanically gifted quarterback. But the Broncos got to the playoffs for a reason. I mean,
Were you one of the guys that were like, hey, the Jets, you should start them?
No, never that. Never that. I knew Tebow was done after that. But that season... Okay, we're going to have to move some of these games to the next segment because we are going a bit over. No, I'm just saying, Tebow for 3 quarters was terrible. Tebow for the 4th quarter... I'm not sure what it was, but he got them wins.
You play all good 4 quarters. I'm not
disputing that.
A quarter guy.
I'm not saying Tebow was good in the NFL. I'm just saying that he did win a playoff game. I'm stating a fact there.
He had a friend with Jesus. Okay, I think that's one of the main reasons he was so well too. I mean, SNL did a whole skit on that, and I think it was the truth.
I mean, that's fine with me too. That's going to get the team wins. I mean, I'm sure Denver fans aren't necessarily mad.
How did he do against the Patriots that playoff game? That after that,
I mean, how does Philip Rivers did against the Patriots though? Philip Rivers hasn't beat the Patriots in his career.
Okay, in that 2007 playoff, he had a torn ACL.
I still lost, and I mean, we have a bunch of other games to go off of too.
All right, fine. Let's get off Tebow. Yeah. I don't know how Tebow's not even in the NFL. I don't think he's even in the minor leagues anymore. We're still talking about him. What is going on?
Tebow gets ratings. Ask ESPN. I mean, they spent that whole year on
Bayless,
Tebow.
I think has a poster of him still in his room.
Possibly. Let's get into one more game, and then we'll finish off the rest of Sunday's slate in the next segment. Let's go Packers. Redskins won that. You were right about the Saints and Falcons. I was right about Redskins and Packers. Yeah, right. Redskins win this one 31-17.
I thought it'd be a lot closer.
I did too. I mean, obviously the Redskins made me look a whole lot better here, but I did think it'd be closer. Rodgers still playing with the knee injury, 265 yards, 2 touchdowns. Good old Alex Smith, 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. I mean, these teams, like the good teams that you expect to do well, have kind of struggled. The teams that you wouldn't expect to do well are playing better. I'm not sure really what to make of the Redskins. The Packers, I mean, I'm kind of confused. They're 1-1. Ooh, 1-1. What do you think of them?
I don't know yet. The 1-1 is like, you don't know if that's a good record or a bad record, or like you can't tell.
They're stuck in the middle.
Exactly.
Right now.
And with Aaron Rodgers still hurt and he's still playing that well, and if he's healthy, this team can go to the playoffs, no doubt about it. Mm-hmm. But if he is hurt the whole season, and if he can't get back to his 100%, this team I don't think makes the playoffs. Again, for the second time in a row.
Yeah, you're not saying anything wrong there. Let me take a look at the NFC standings before we get into the third segment and continue on. Right now, I'd say if the playoffs ended today, which they don't, obviously, you got the Eagles leading the NFC East, Chicago leading the NFC North, the undefeated so far Tampa Bay Bucks in the NFC South.
We'll see tonight.
And then as far as the two wildcard teams, or actually you got the Rams in the West at 3-0. As far as the two wildcard teams, it'd be the Saints and Redskins. I mean, like I said, things haven't really started off the way everyone expected, huh?
Well, I think we could say that for every year. Every year it's unexpected how it starts, but how it finishes is usually the same.
Yeah, so I guess we'll see what ends up happening, but we'll wrap it up here. Like I said, Jeff and I will get into the rest of the games in the next segment, so stay tuned and we will be right back.
The average sedan is built with a steel frame and equipped with 6 airbags. Remember this the next time you see someone walking. Drivers, be aware. Pedestrians don't have armor. A message from the California Office of Traffic Safety.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Football Podcast. I'd say that last segment maybe went off the rails a bit when we got into Tebow.
Got a little heated.
That was good, though. That was good. So now we move on, and we'll finish up with the rest of the games that took place on Sunday. We will be previewing the Monday night game for that fourth segment. So Wentz is back. You had Wentz versus Luck. Eagles win this one 20-16. Let me take a look at these stats for both quarterbacks. I know Wentz played well, 255, well enough, 255 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Andrew Luck threw the ball 40 times, 164 yards, a touchdown there.
Wentz was fired up that game, though.
Yeah, you could tell.
He was loving it.
Yeah, especially considering, how bad they looked in the first 2 games. That was a nice little,
I wouldn't say they looked bad. I think they would not look. They didn't look to Super Bowl form.
They weren't up to the standard, I'd say.
Okay, I can agree with that.
Yeah, you look at Luck, the Dink and Dunk King. Can we give him that now? 40 passes, only 4 yards per passing completion.
Was it only 4? My. And he threw how many passes?
40.
Oh, my.
Didn't throw the Hail Mary at the end of the game either.
He physically can't.
Do you think that him not throwing the Hail Mary pass is something, or is it nothing? I think it's nothing because it's a Hail Mary.
Well, if sometimes you need that deep ball to change momentum of a game. Look at Aaron Rodgers. He's the king of the Hail Mary, and he's considered one of the greatest. Like, it's hard to say you're the greatest after throwing the ball and saying a prayer, but you need sometimes, like, even if a guy like T.Y. Hilton's a fast guy, he should do those fly routes and just throw it deep down the field.
I think Luck is...
But he can't do that.
Yeah, I think Luck is still currently a work in progress. The fact that they had him throw it 53 times week 1 and 40 times here. I think he threw it about 30 times last week or 23, something like that, some lower number.
It could be just like a West Coast offense type of thing with him for the rest of his career, like short passes and running.
I hope he does at least get this team to the playoffs a few times. I think if this is the Andrew Luck that we're going to get for the rest of his career, I think we could say we're definitely cheated as far as missing out on maybe watching someone become an all-time great.
With a lot of guys, though.
But I think with Andrew Luck, we knew this guy was going to be a top 5 quarterback in the league.
He was out at some point.
He's one of the few guys where coming out of college, okay, this guy definitely. There's no question about it. He will be a great quarterback.
That 2-year span, it was him and Cam Newton.
Yeah.
If he was going to be on the same draft pick as Cam Newton, it would have been a huge, who you go with type of thing. And I think the Panthers could have gone with Andrew Luck in that if those two were available.
Yeah, I remember his last season. I think it was his last season. It might have been the last year or second.
He tried to win a national championship, but in the rankings, they don't give a Pac-12 team number 1 or 2.
West Coast. You play at 7:30. You're not getting looked at.
It's not fair.
But yeah, I remember watching him play. One of their home openers against San Jose State. Dude went for 5 touchdowns.
Okay, San Jose State.
I'm just saying. I saw Andrew Luck play and absolutely shred them.
Yeah, but I always those games I always take it with a grain of salt, especially if Arizona plays Southern Utah and scores 61 points. It's Southern Utah.
Arizona's kind of disappointed me this season with how they use Khalil Tate.
Well, actually, yeah, true. I still think he just needs another year.
Yeah,
I think that was too premature, in my opinion. He was in the Heisman finalist, but I think next year he'll once Kevin Sumlin has more time to work with him.
I think you just gotta let him take off of the ball like Lamar Jackson. But getting back to this Eagles game, It's business as usual for the Eagles here. Wentz played well. Alshon should be back next week, I'm assuming.
He's back, it's going to be a different ballgame.
Yeah, it'll be, like I said, business as usual. So, nice little win there for the Eagles, especially it being at home. I'm sure the fans take a bit of a little sigh of relief there. Moving on, we had the Bengals and Panthers. You ended up getting the better of me in this one. You took the Panthers. I went with my gut and took the Bengals. Dalton, Cam
Newton went to MVP form again for this one game.
Cam Newton's actually been pretty good for the first 3 games.
I know. If he keeps playing like this, Panthers are a playoff team again.
Yeah, I think my Super Bowl pick, I can't remember exactly, but I think it had them making
Carolina?
it. Yeah.
This year?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of like it was a dark horse pick earlier on in the offseason. I was like, nah, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. But yeah, speaking of Cam, 150 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 10 carries, 36 yards, 2 touchdowns there, 4 total touchdowns. And then Christian McCaffrey, look at him, doing work on the ground game, 28 carries, 184 yards. Usually you see those kind of numbers as far as him receiving. Nope, this was him running the ball. McCaffrey was a guy coming out of Stanford. People thought, can he really do it? Kind of thought of him like a
Heisman finalist?
Yeah, I think so. He's kind of like a DeAnthony Thomas type of player coming out of college, but he's shown he could run the ball in between the tackles, outside the tackles, and all that. Wouldn't you agree?
He's definitely one.
He's not a great in between the tackles.
To be completely honest, I think people like, a white running back.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong about it.
I think people took that with that also.
Yeah.
And he's going to play very well. Mm-hmm. I think it's just the perfect offense for him.
Yeah, and then you got Andy Dalton with, a classic Andy Dalton game, 352 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 picks. This guy,
he still threw for 350 yards.
I don't like him, Ryan Tannehill, Derek Carr, and Blake Bortles. Quarterbacks who will light up the score sheet, look like, oh yeah, we're definitely the franchise quarterbacks. I mean, you did right by picking us up, and then they'll have games where it's just kind of like, okay, maybe we're not too sure about these guys here. I mean,
they have they're not consistent, that's for sure. I think that's the problem. They can have great games, and then they can have poor games. You got to have a guy that's consistent.
Yeah.
Especially at the quarterback position. That's fourth and foremost. And with a guy like Andy Dalton who can take a team to playoffs, he's done it before. Mm-hmm. But he's also played games where he lays the biggest of eggs.
Yeah, and then you look at guys who have been consistent at the receiving end, at least for the Bengals. Tyler Boyd, he had 6 receptions.
And A.J. Green got hurt. That might be a huge problem.
Yeah, that's going to hurt my fantasy team right there. But yeah, Tyler Boyd, 6 receptions.
I think it's just a groin injury, though.
Might be.
A.J. Green's, I think, was just groin. I don't think it was any tear or anything. It might have. Yeah. I don't know. I think they are doing an MRI today.
Mm. So like you said, you had Tyler Boyd, 6 receptions, 132 yards, 1 touchdown. A.J. Green, before he left, 5 receptions, 58 yards. John Ross, about as disappointing as it gets, 3 receptions, 16 yards.
Oh, a bust.
Not yet. It's only a year or two. Last season, he didn't really get enough snaps. And these receivers coming into the league, too. I mean, Calvin Ridley, he had his big game on Sunday. But a lot of these other receivers, it seems like they need time. Like, they're not really coming out and dominating like we, I guess, have seen before. And then we mentioned Blake Bortles. I mean, it's classic. Last week against the Patriots, he throws for 4 touchdowns. This week against the Titans, he throws for 155 yards, 0 touchdowns. They lose that one 9-6. I mean...
Talk about a baseball score.
Yeah, this was... like, if you're a Jags fan or a Titans fan, I feel bad for you just because of the fact that you had to sit through this one. Marcus Mariota...
This is a boring game.
Yeah, Marcus Mariota ended up playing 12 completions out of 18 attempts, 100 yards. Do you like Marcus Mariota? Like, as far as a quarterback? Is he a franchise quarterback for the Titans?
Franchise? I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Okay, are you... If it's your choice, you can let him walk or you give him a long-term deal. What are you doing?
Depends on the money. Do I have to pay him a lot?
Blake Bortles made money, 18 to 20 mil a year, a little bit more, maybe 18 to 24. You're paying him somewhere in between there. Or you can look to the draft and try and find someone else.
With this draft, I don't see someone with that talent at the quarterback position. So I don't want to kind of for a long-term
pay
deal.
Him because you have to? That's what it sounds like.
It's a tough choice, but maybe if there's a free agent or a trade we can do, I would let him walk. But right now, I think I would hold on to him. He's not the same as he was in Oregon.
So, all right, I got a question for you there. So let's say Flacco, this is his last year with the Titans. Are you taking Flacco? You're going to bring him on, sign Flacco to be your quarterback, or are you going to take Mariota?
I'll take Mariota over Flacco any day of the week.
All right.
Flacco is not elite. I don't care what anyone says. He had one good playoff run. What's he done since? What's he done before?
I'd say Flacco at one point in his career was elite. Then after that Super Bowl run, he just fell off.
He got overhyped. People thought he was this great quarterback. In reality, he's not that great. He's a
game manager.
Solid. He's a game manager. Perfect example. He's a game manager.
So he's an Alex Smith, I guess.
Yeah, he's not a guy that can carry your team to a win, but I would pick Mariota still over him. Mariota is more mobile, can throw the ball better, I believe, than Flacco, and I think he's more of a weapon.
I think Flacco maybe got a little too complacent, too.
And he got way overpaid.
Yeah, I mean...
In my opinion, he got way overpaid.
I'd say winning that Super Bowl is probably the worst thing that happened to the Ravens, given you did have to pay him. And then speaking of Flacco and the Ravens, they did beat the Broncos 27-14. Case Keenum, another game manager.
He had, just like Flacco, one good, solid year with a good team around him, and that took him... And I don't think people forget about Flacco. He threw a lucky pass against the Broncos, ironically, in that divisional round too. What's his name? He was number 12. He's he was a return man also.
Jacoby Ford.
Thank you, Jacoby Ford.
Yeah,
that's how much he's been doing since then. No one's heard from him since.
Flacco pre-Super Bowl was elite. Flacco post-Super Bowl was not elite.
I wouldn't even say pre-Super Bowl was elite. I would say that one playoff run, he's elite. That one season.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say before then. I wouldn't say after.
I mean, I can't really argue your point there. You are right.
And Case Keenum, again, same thing. One good year. He's been a journeyman, like we said before, ever since.
Yeah,
before then. And he's not a franchise quarterback. He is a guy you put in when you have a good team around him. He's not a guy that can make other people look good.
Yeah, because in this one he only threw for 192 yards, had a pick. Philip Lindsay didn't Philip Lindsay get ejected from this game? I think
he did. I believe he went into a dog pile early and started throwing punches.
Yeah,
which is really you got to get not a good mental thought. Not a good mental. I don't know if he was defending someone but it was not a smart decision.
Yeah, so he finished before he got ejected with 4 carries for 20 yards. That opened up the door for Royce Freeman. He didn't really take advantage. I mean, 13 carries, 53 yards, and a touchdown.
I think they brought Case Keenum because I thought they thought that was the final puzzle, and when in reality, that's not the case at all.
I think they're looking back to that year with Peyton Manning where they won the Super Bowl when Manning was absolutely pot garbage in his last season. But, I mean, the defense and the receivers around him did enough to get far.
He had neck surgery, wasn't that?
Well, that was before with the Colts. That last year, I think it was just more... Well, did he get surgery in his last season?
I don't think so.
I don't think he did. I think his last season was just father time catching up to him.
And his defense was elite.
Yeah, one of the best defenses of all time, at least that year.
Defense. When you have Talib and Chris Harris Jr. and
then Von Miller.
You had everyone at one position dominating.
Yeah.
And with this Broncos team that's not the same, obviously, and Case Keenum is not Peyton Manning or anyone that he's not a quarterback that can make people better, like I said before. He's a guy that can just manage the game, and if you have good players around him, just get the ball to those players. But they don't have that. Demaryius Thomas is not that kind of guy anymore. He's not playing well at all.
Yeah, they're all much older. And you look at Flacco, 277 yards, 1 touchdown. I mean, do those numbers impress you?
It's a managing game numbers to me.
Alex Collins, 18 carries, 68 yards, and a touchdown. Buck Allen, 6 carries, 7 yards, and a touchdown there. John Brown, who I ended up picking up on my fantasy team, I mean, he's been solid for the Ravens.
Is he their one?
Crabtree, I guess, quote-unquote, is their one, but Brown has been the better receiver through 3 games.
Crabtree's done nothing since leaving San Francisco.
Oakland, I'd say he was solid.
One season with Carr when they went to the playoffs, sure, but what they wanted from him, he did not give them.
I think
that he was supposed to be like a go-to catch anywhere, and he dropped a lot of passes.
I'd say Crabtree is the possession type of receiver where he's not going to blow the top off the defense. He plays his role well. I think it's maybe just high expectations.
Too high.
Yeah.
That one game in Texas Tech was that one thing where it put
Wasn't
him,
it the one against Texas or whatever?
Yeah, where he juked out like those 2 guys on the sideline, somehow kept his feet in bounds and won the game.
Yeah.
And I think that put him in that top pick, which for the 49ers, it was a good pick because you needed a wide receiver, and he did fairly well. With him, when you have him and Vernon Davis as your 2 go-to receivers, it's a tough matchup for the defense.
Yeah.
And with Colin Kaepernick, that was his go-to, and he played really well. And then he goes to Oakland, and he's not that go-to guy anymore. He was kind of like a 2 or even a slot receiver.
I'd say he was the 2 there. I mean, Cooper, obviously you're going to have Cooper be the 1, given, I mean, how you drafted him and all that. But
right.
You look at John Brown, like I said, for the Ravens against the Broncos, 5 receptions, 86 yards. Crabtree, who we just talked about, 7 receptions, 61 yards there. I mean, This Ravens
That's
team,
a lot of receptions, but like how many times do you think those receptions he caught the ball and didn't run and just got tackled immediately?
yeah, he's just, like I say, he's the possession receiver. He's going to get open. As soon as you get him the ball, he's going to go down. But I mean,
he's a red zone threat.
Yeah.
He catches the ball in the end zone. You don't give it to him in the middle of the drive because he doesn't. He's not good with the ball after the catch.
I'd say right here, too, we got our classic Ravens team where the defense could carry them to the playoffs. And if you do...
I wouldn't say that.
I don't know. I mean, you look at the AFC North. Does anyone really impress you? Like, the Bengals have been good, but do they impress you?
I would put the Bengals over the Ravens.
I would, too, as of right now. But, I mean, you look at the Ravens. They're sneaky kind of 2-1 right now.
They've always been that way. They've never been a 1 or 2 seed. They've always been, oh, look at them. They're in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like,
notice them.
maybe they sneak their way into the playoffs. And when it comes to the playoffs, you don't want to play the Ravens.
Should be the Baltimore Ninjas is how sneaky they go into the playoffs almost every year.
Yeah, and like I said, you don't really want to play them.
When you look at the playoffs at the end of the season, you're like, oh, the Ravens are in it. You don't say, oh, yeah, duh, the Ravens are in it.
Yeah, the Ravens have never really been... I mean, just that.
Same thing with the Giants. It's like, oh, they're in it. That's cool.
Yeah, and you never really want to play those teams. And moving on to the Giants and Texans game, I'd say they surprised us both here. I mean, beating the Texans 27-22. You had Saquon Barkley 17 carries, 82 yards, and a touchdown. Eli actually played well in this one. I will give it to him. 25-29, 297 yards, 2 touchdowns. Deshaun Watson. I mean, his stats look nice, but
a broken clock runs twice a day.
Yeah, I guess.
He's right twice a day. What am I saying? Oh, God, I did the saying wrong.
And you look at Deshaun Watson, I mean, his stats look nice, but he's just, something's kind of missing with that at 385 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Do not take this on Barkley. That offensive line gives him nothing. He has to, he has to move the outside, which he's better on an inside runner when you look at him in Penn State. If he had a better offensive line, he would be playing so much better.
Yeah, and
that offensive line is holding them back, which I'm surprised they didn't take an offensive lineman or a quarterback.
Even then, I mean, he did have 17 carries for 82 yards and a touchdown. You look at Deshaun Watson, like I said, 385 yards, 2 touchdowns,
you
1
look
pick.
at those plays, and a lot of Texans have chances to tackle him in that game. And yes, granted, that's going to happen, but it happened every single time he caught the ball.
Yeah, and they do have work on the offensive line. But like I said, I mean, like you said, that is kind of a running back's job to do, is to make that first guy miss.
But you got to have something for a line to give you a chance to react. When you get the ball, you don't expect the guy to be right there on your face.
Yeah, that's true.
And that happened a lot.
Yeah, and then moving on from that one, we had the Chargers and Rams Battle of L.A. I mean, I'd say they both combined.
It was kind of a closer game than I thought it was going to be.
Chargers did impress. I mean, the Rams are just too good. That's just what it is. They won 35-23. Rivers, 226 yards, 2 touchdowns. I'm surprised he didn't throw a pick in this one. Goff, looking like he's not so much a system quarterback rather than just a good one. 354 yards, 3 touchdowns.
354 is still impressive.
Yeah, 3 touchdowns.
I think anything over 350 is like you helped this team win. You didn't manage the game.
I mean, would you agree that the Rams are currently the best team in the NFL?
Yes.
Because I say no one like
thinking about it right now. Yes, because their defense is something else. Their Todd Gurley is a machine. Goff has proven that he can help this team win, and their receiving core is no joke either.
I mean, they're just solid everywhere, like all around.
I don't see any weak points, and their offensive line is no joke either.
They do play the Vikings on Thursday night. That's going to be a nice little game there. You got Peters.
I think that's their biggest test so far.
And it's going to be a little bit tough for them because you got Andrew Whitworth, their offensive lineman, who had minor knee surgery, I think it was. Talib ended up coming out with an injury in that one, and Peters, I think, has a calf injury,
I still see the Rams as the best team in the NFL.
Yeah, I don't think like them versus the Vikings would be one where it's like, oh, yeah, this team is now the best. I think after that week, no matter what happens, I think we can both agree that the Rams are still the team. Yeah, and then
unless the Rams jump off a cliff, I don't see them losing that position.
Yeah, and then moving on to the next game, you had the Seahawks and Cowboys. This is the final game we'll cover for this segment. Looking at it, Dallas looks bad.
One-sided game the entire game.
Yeah, Seahawks won that one 24-13. Russell Wilson, 192 yards, 2 touchdowns. And this is what I said. I mean, Russell Wilson is going to keep the Seahawks in it. They won't always come out with a win, but they'll be competitive. Dak Prescott, 168 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, got sacked 5 times. The guy hasn't played well, but his offensive line really isn't giving him an opportunity.
That kind of makes up. That kind of is how his career was at Mississippi State. Remember they were number 1 for a week.
I think so.
And that kind of shows his NFL career. He had one good season.
Yeah.
And now he's figure it out. Mm-hmm. Now he's kind of scared to throw the ball almost.
Yeah, Zeke Elliott, 16 carries, 127 yards. Chris Carson got 32 carries in this one, 102 yards and a touchdown. It's about time Pete Carroll finally started running the ball. Tyler Lockett, 4 receptions, 77 yards and a touchdown there. Good old Brandon Marshall, 2 receptions, 30 yards.
I think he's done after the season, though.
Brandon
Marshall's done.
Yeah, he's 34, coming off a season-ending injury. This is, I guess, his swan song here. Let's see.
Bad team to go to, though.
Huh?
Wrong time to go to the Seahawks. Wrong time, I should say.
For Dallas, I mean, Cole Beasley, 3 receptions, 46 yards. Allen Hurns, 2 receptions, 22 yards. This Dallas team just isn't very good.
No.
I'd say.
I would say, I wouldn't say maybe last place.
It depends what you think of the Giants, I guess.
That division is so
I'd say Washington and Philly is
random.
decent. Dallas and New York, not great.
Yeah, that division is so random. You cannot predict that. Even if you had all the research in the world.
Mm-hmm. And you look at the Seahawks; they'll be a 7 to 8 win team, I think.
Yeah,
I said,
I'm saying 7-9, 6-10. I'll go 6-10.
I could see that also. So we'll wrap it up here. Next segment, we'll be previewing the Monday night game and also talking about some of these roughing the passer penalties. So stay tuned, and we will be right back.
The average SUV has 2 blind spots, weighs between 4,000 and 6,000 pounds, and takes about 6 seconds to stop. Remember this the next time you're on foot. Pay attention, people. Pedestrians don't have armor. A message from the California Office of Traffic Safety.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Football Podcast. So far today, Jeff and I have recapped that Sunday night game, spent a lot of it talking about the Patriots, spent that second and third segment talking about the other games from Sunday. Also got Tim Tebow in here. Didn't think we'd be talking Tebow, but nonetheless, we did. And then for this fourth segment, we will be previewing the Monday night game, along with talking about, I guess, the softness of the NFL. I think that's where we're headed.
Absolutely, the softness.
So I'm assuming when you brought it up to start the show, you saw Clay Matthews.
Oh, that was ridiculous. That was the cleanest tackle you would ever see.
It's bad when you have Alex Smith who is saying, the man who got hit, yeah, there was nothing wrong with that hit. It's just a football play.
Football, you have to hit him. It's the rules. Is this going to be touch football after this season?
I normally don't feel bad for players, but that's one where I feel bad for Clay Matthews. You could vividly tell. He was trying to do it the right way.
It was the most classic tackle. That's like we learn in Pee-wees.
Yeah, literally trying to do it the right way. I mean, when he's bringing him down, his hands are in the air like, look it, I'm not landing my body weight. I'm not doing anything. I'm just trying to do it the right way. And then you see the ref pull out the flag, throw it up.
Roger Goodell needs to make a decision. And if he doesn't make the right one, which is lay back on those roughing the passer penalties, then there's going to be a huge... I think there might be a strike. And I don't know if it's going to be also about pay, but I think a big part of it is going to be for this kind of these unnecessary roughness rules that are absolutely ridiculous.
I think we will get a strike, but that'll be in a couple of years once the CBA is done. Richard Sherman's talked about a strike, and I think that's going to happen. So we'll get a nice little lockout. Be ready for that.
I think Roger Goodell should lose his job, but whatever.
I mean, they're not going to change the rule because quarterbacks are their bread and butter. I'd say.
And you don't. Sorry to interrupt, but they don't give anything about their other players, like the other team, and because that guy in Dolphins tore his ACL trying not to get an unnecessary roughness penalty, so he's putting other players at risk.
Yeah, I mean you're right.
This is all on Roger Goodell. That injury is all on Roger Goodell.
Yeah, and Jeff is talking about the William Hayes injury. I mean, yeah, Will Hayes said that, not he said, but Adam Gase, the head coach, and some of the players said, yeah, he was just trying to avoid putting his body weight on him, so he blew his knee out. And I get what you're saying. Everything you're saying is right. But Roger Goodell, the NFL, Roger Goodell knows the NFL, first and foremost, is a business, and that's how it's going to be ran. The quarterbacks bring the money in. It's not right. But, like I said, I think that's why nothing's really going to change. I still don't think that's
necessarily true. I think characters bring the money in, like guys with charisma. C.J. Beathard's going to bring the money in.
That you're right about. But
Eli Manning's not going to bring the money in. I don't care what anyone says.
Yeah. You're right.
Peyton Manning was great and also funny and also like charismatic, and that's why he's still in commercials to this day.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see Aaron Rodgers has that, like, he has that nice personality as well.
And you know what? You're right. I'm not going to argue. I think it's just from a Roger Goodell, from his standpoint, what he thinks, I think.
Well, I believe he is wrong. But
yeah, I do too.
Yeah. He's...
I'm not a big Roger Goodell fan either.
No one is.
Yeah.
I'm so happy when he gets booed at the NFL draft. Because it's like you they're not booing just because you're the commissioner. Mm-hmm. They're booing because you've made decisions they don't like.
Yeah.
Has any other commissioner gone the NFL draft getting booed immediately as he enters the podium? No.
Yeah, I can't say I agree,
I
can't disagree. But I don't think I'm old enough to.
The other two commissioners, I've watched some old drafts just
yeah.
on YouTube and stuff, and they don't get booed.
Yeah,
he got booed in a 100,000 seat stadium,
and it's not even just that. Like, the players aren't fond of him or anything like that either.
Yeah. No one owners like him because they get money in their pockets, but other than that, no one else likes him.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with you there.
He's getting $50 million and a private jet for the rest of his life. Isn't that's a horrible contract?
I mean, I can never hate on it.
Did he ever play football? Did he ever?
Think so. I mean, maybe played high school ball. I'm just saying.
Can play high school ball.
Yeah. I'm just saying. I mean, I'll never hate on a man for making his money, but you're right. It's not.
He's putting other players at risk. It showed.
Yeah, but like I said, I mean, Goodell's going to think from his business standpoint, at least from his standpoint. I mean, who cares? It's the quarterbacks. That's like I said, when Palmer tore his ACL with the Bengals, and you had Tom Brady, we had the no tackling quarterbacks below the knee. That's one I actually agree with, though.
That one I agree with.
No, but I'm just saying that Goodell over the years has shifted these rules to protect the quarterback.
Right.
Like the ACL one, that's a good rule. Like,
I understand, but in the games in Madden, they actually do that also. In that, because I played Madden the other day, and I hold down X, and I got the tackle, barely got him by the foot.
Yeah.
And I got the sack. It was like on a fourth down, and then roughing the passer. And okay, in real life, I understand. In Madden, that's complete BS.
Yeah.
But I do agree with the rule, though, because hitting below the knee is just scary. Because you, not only muscles, but you could break that shin.
Yeah.
And that would be the grossest thing on the field.
Max, I know that's how.
I get that, but landing on your full body on them, I don't understand that.
I don't know how as a
how
defensive
do you not
player
do that?
Yeah, because I mean, you're gonna go in your direction, I guess, right?
Pull his flag.
I get that might be. I saw Mike Floyd of Pro Football Talk was talking about how he wrote an article saying that there might just be a time where the NFL just says once the quarterback gets rid of the ball, you just can't touch him at all.
You can't stop mid
I know, I get that, but I'm just saying, like, he might be right to the point where it's like,
I understand where that comes from, but if the guy is tackling him as he's throwing, you can't give him that.
Yeah.
Like, do you see that video on Twitter or social media about the guy with the Green Bay Packers fan that took his girlfriend and rocked her by her, put a pillow? I was like, that's exactly what it is now.
Yeah, I mean,
and they would still probably call a penalty.
And I do get it.
And I saw the banana peel go in the middle of the video, and I started laughing. I thought that was great because it's right. It's like that's where we are now.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, it doesn't seem like it's gonna get better at all, actually, and I'm not really sure. Like, I don't know how this ends, because obviously they're not like just, okay, we're adding this rule, we're done. Like, they're adding a new rule as far as protecting the quarterback every single year, it seems. There's a point where, it's going to be too much and oversaturated.
You're going to have to go 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, and then you can go after the guy.
I mean, I wouldn't...
With the lineman still blocking.
I wouldn't be surprised.
No defensive lineman allowed anymore. That's the rule.
I mean... Might be crazy, but we might just end up playing 7-on-7 eventually.
I just can't stand that. That's it's. Can you imagine like players like back in the day, like the 1980s, when you see those brutal hits getting fined, they'll be like, "Are you kidding me?"
One rule, and we'll move like this kind of not NFL, moving to college football. Saturday, I had a day off from my weekend job. One of the first times I had a day off in a while, so I just spent the day watching college football. They got a rule where you can fair catch it on the kickoff return. Like, you don't have to be inside the end zone. You can be on the field, and if you fair catch it, the ball gets put on the 25. I hate that rule.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't. I hate that rule, and I think that's just a new rule implemented in college football. But I mean, college football has a lot of dumb rules too. I don't like.
Well, they don't have kickers that can make field goals either. So
where do these good kickers in the NFL come from?
You tell me.
These college kickers are terrible.
They're obviously like not Division I.
I literally watch college football all day from 9 o'clock till
you
Pac-12
see
at
so many
night.
missed extra points. It's almost gross.
Yeah, I saw at least 10 missed kicks that day.
I do feel sorry for those kickers, and because socially they're done.
I mean, I don't feel bad. You're a kicker.
In college, okay. I'll tell a little story. When I was in Arizona my freshman year, we were playing USC.
Yeah.
And even before that game, we were playing Cal. We were losing by a lot. We finally scored a touchdown. All right, we're making a comeback. He missed the extra point. And I started yelling in the middle of the stands, I can make that kick. Anyone can make that kick. Because it's not like the NFL where it's backed up. It's literally right there. And then we're playing USC. They're ranked at the time. And he's lining for a field goal. We'll take the win. And this is huge during this time. He whiffs the kick completely and feigns he got hit in like a horrible acting job. Like even like even his mother would say no one touched him. Yeah. And I'm like, and I just thought that was the funniest thing. I'm like, I feel bad for him because I was talking like some girls and stuff at like classes, and they were just like, I don't want to be around him and stuff like that. Like, and it just, you can feel sorry for him.
It's not right, but again, you are the kicker. You have one job. Kick it through the uprights.
Did you see that on Saturday? Kicker was not at the
I think that's for Wake Forest against Notre Dame, and he ended up hitting off the crossbar once he came back.
No. Oh, no. When he came, like, it was this
week,
right?
After, yeah.
Yeah. Was that against Notre Dame? Yes, it was against Notre Dame.
Yeah, it was the Wake Forest. Yeah.
And I just see him playing with the football. And how do you not see that?
I don't know. I mean, like I said, you got one job. Be out there when it's time to kick the football.
Doesn't the coach yell special teams or kicking team?
They do, but I remember I saw he was kicking it into the practice net or whatnot too. So maybe he was just in the zone and ready to go. I guess.
Did no one say, "Hey, should probably get out there"?
Yeah, it was hilarious. He's seeing the holder.
You need to make. He's like, "Oh," and then probably just all that went to his head and he missed it.
Yeah, and the holder's like looking around, like, "Where's this guy at?"
I would be like, can you imagine? Like, all right, let's do this. All right, lining up. Where did he go? Where is he? I don't. Oh, where is he?
Yeah, I feel bad for college coaches too because you can't really cut a kicker if he's bad. I mean,
you could get a guy from the soccer team.
Yeah, I guess
that's most sport where they mostly come from.
Yeah, so I guess we can move on from that and the rules and all, and move on to this Monday Night Football game. We got the Steelers and Bucs playing. Vegas has Tampa Bay actually favored by 1.5 in this one.
I'm not surprised. I think Tampa's taking it.
You think Tampa Bay's taking it?
They're hot right now. Steelers aren't. It's a big momentum. Fitzpatrick's on a very comfortable rhythm. And I see him throwing for another 400 yards. Well, okay.
You might not be wrong about that because the Steelers secondary is about as bad as it gets.
Yeah. That's why I'm thinking he's going to have another day.
Yeah, and
this might be the last one, though.
I think this is the game right here where if the Steelers lose, we could say they're a bad team. We saw this past week that, the locker room fixed everything up. They're all on the same page again, minus Le'Veon Bell and all that. They're all ready to go. Now it's time to start.
No, they don't. Le'Veon Bell, he's done. He's never playing it down for them again, I don't believe.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think he's going to get traded. But you look at it, if they're not able to get it together here and beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I get the Bucs have started off hot and all, but
hey, they're not bad. They're not a bad team.
But it is the Steelers. If you're the Steelers and you had these expectations going into the season of Super Bowl and all that, you should be beating teams like these ones.
Well, how many times have you seen a team that should win the Super Bowl and not even make the playoffs? That happens quite often.
Yeah, but like I said, it's just they got Ben Roethlisberger, the best receiver in the league, Antonio Brown.
Big Ben's at the end of his career.
He still is better than a lot of these quarterbacks, though. I'd say he still is top 10.
Top 10 out of 32? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. You might be 10, 9, 8, but I'd say
I would not put him in the top 5. No way.
Who's your top 5?
Definitely Roethlisberger.
And you don't got to rank them, just throw out 5 quarterbacks.
Rodgers, Brady. Honestly, I was going to put Lou Garoppolo maybe at 6 or 7 because of how good he was playing, but now not anymore. I would definitely say Sam Darnold's getting up there. Not top 5, though. But, okay, so here we go. Rodgers, Brady, right now, just based off right now, Fitzpatrick.
All right. How about
he's thrown 800 yards in 2 games.
I know, but
Okay. So you want like the 5 just
the 5 best ability quarterbacks right now. Like,
see, that's tough
because I'd go Rodgers, Brady. I think I gotta throw Phil Rivers.
But that's the thing. The next line of people, it's such a questionable thing.
Yeah, it is tough.
There's only 2 quarterbacks that are like, okay, those are the 2 best in the league, and that's Brady and Rodgers. You can't really, and then the others are complete guesses almost.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me it'd go Brady, Rodgers, Rivers. I guess
I could see Rivers, but he's Breeze. I would say Breeze.
Breeze, yeah, and then I guess your choice at Wentz, Wilson, Stafford, like guys right there.
I would definitely say Wentz.
Mm-hmm.
So Brady, Rodgers, Wentz, Breeze, and Rivers. I can see that.
Yeah, I think
even Rivers is a big question mark for me, just because he hasn't been playing well the last couple of seasons. He doesn't have a team around him, granted, but he still hasn't played his best.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't put Stafford up there. Wilson maybe, but again, he's on a decline also. But God, there's
Wilson
not
on a
many very
decline?
consistently good quarterbacks.
Yeah, is Wilson on a decline or does his team just stink?
No, he's on the decline too.
Decline?
Just seeing him play, he's not confident at all.
So you got the Bucks winning this one?
Yes, I do.
I'm torn. My heart tells me to go with the Bucks. My head tells me to go with the Steelers. I'm going to go with the Steelers. I'm going to put my faith in them. I really think I'm wrong about that one, but there's just something about it. I think I got to pick the Steelers in this one. I'm expecting Antonio Brown to play well, but like I said, if the Steelers are a bad team, then they'll lose this one, and I'll start looking at them differently. But so Jeff's got the Bucks. I have the Steelers, and I think that's pretty much it for today's show. Also, so today Jeff and I recapped the Sunday Night Football game, spent the second and third segments talking about the other Sunday games, and then spent this segment talking about the roughing the passer rules.
Also had a heated Tim Tebow conversation.
Yeah, that was actually very entertaining. And then made our picks for tonight's Monday Night Football game. Jeff has the Bucks. I have the Steelers. So we'll wrap it up here. Thanks for listening to the GSMC Football Podcast. One last note from you.
Yeah, okay. Final score, it's going to be a 3-touchdown game. Buccaneers win.
By 3 touchdowns.
By 3 touchdowns.
Then you're expecting the Steelers not to score points today, really? Or is this going to be like a shootout type of thing? Like maybe Steelers put up 21?
28-7 or something like that. Just how bad that secondary is and how good that Fitzpatrick is playing, I don't think they're going to have an answer for him.
So you're just thinking Big Ben and Brown just don't get it going tonight?
No.
All right, we'll see what you end up.
There's too much drama off the field.
I'll go Steelers 24, Bucks 20.
So it's still a close game.
Yeah, so we'll go with that. Like I said, thanks for listening to the GSMC Football Podcast. Are you going to be on tomorrow's show too?
Yes, I will be.
So Jeff will be with us. I'm assuming
here Monday through Thursday and Friday.
And then, like I said, on Friday you can listen to him on the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. So thanks for listening. At least for this week, I will be your host, Jesse Tapia, and we will talk to you guys tomorrow.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.